Hello, YouTube model railroader fans, model railroading live fans, and whoever else happens to watch this wonderful brand of nuttiness that I bring to the table every week, or what has been every week. And there wasn't supposed to be a vlog 12 this week. I was supposed to be sitting on a beach in Mexico. I'm not. Now, we were going down there as a family and just decided on Saturday. We were supposed to leave Sunday morning, but because of everything that was going on, it's like, you know what? We could probably get out, but I don't know about getting back in. So I just decided to take this week and make it a staycation. Anyway, welcome to Vlog 12. It happens to be the Monday the 16th of March, 2020. And of course, we're all under quarantine or social district, whatever the heck they want to call it, and whatever, martial law, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to go there. Keep it away. Anyway, of all the things that I've got going on down here, I just decided today or this evening that I wasn't going to mess with the wiring right now. I'm going to mess with it this week, just not tonight. Things went a little bit sideways, went a little bit backwards, as they usually do. It's called life. And I wanted to bring everybody back over to Boeville Yard, which is where we're standing at the moment. One of the things that I had brought up, I don't know, maybe it's vlog 3 or 4 this year, I think, maybe. Doesn't matter. I have a diesel fueling facility that I wanted to put on here that came from Walters, that I wanted to put on the layout. And one of the things I noticed is that if I put it on the homosoap, the tracks are too high. In other words, you know, with the ties on there, I'd have to either recess it into the homosoap or I have to cut ties. Okay. Nobody really gave me one way or the other, and now I know why. It helps to read the instructions. Sometimes it really does. I know, I'm a guy. I don't read instructions. Throw it together, we'll see how it works. If it don't freaking work, we take it apart, we do it again. So I was reading over the instructions, and for an older facility, you cut the ties off and you just lay the rail through the thing, and you glue the rails to the facility itself. And if it's a modern facility, well, then you lay it with the ties, and when you lay the ties on there. And I'm like, well, gee, that's nice. So, Ray, which way do you want to go with this? What I've decided is I'm actually going to go ahead and make the rails a part of the facility. So I'm going to cut the ties. Now, that means doing some stuff that I'm not real familiar with and messing with, but I came up with a plan. There's always a plan. Sometimes the plan doesn't work, but there's always a plan. So what I did to start off with is I measured the facility. The facility is 11 inches. Okay, most track sections are 9 inches. Okay, wonderful. So what I decided to do, which means I'm going to have to put in some fillers, not a problem because I've got filler track. I went ahead and I cut 2 pieces of flex to 12 inches, not 11 inches, I cut them to 12. You'll see why in a minute, or I'm going to tell you why. Why would you do that? Why would you, if the base is 11 inches, why would you cut the rail to 12? Because what I'm planning on doing is on the ends here, is keeping a pair of ties on either end. That way, I've got something to hold the tracks kind of in alignment, even though there are little alignment pins on this thing to help hold everything kind of together. I'm hoping that I didn't cut this thing too short. And I didn't. I'm going to have one tie on either end, which is perfect, and then I'll have an extra tie that I can cut off. So that's exactly what that's a case of the exactlies. Exactly what I was looking for. Now, that was with one piece. Let me take a look at the other one and see if I did. I was dead on twice. Oh, son of a gun. Sometimes even a blind squirrel finds a nut. Of course, you all found a nut when you found me, but that's beside the point. So that's the deal. So here's what this looks like with the ties still attached. And you can see that I've got 2 ties beyond where I want this, and of course I'm going to have to take off the outermost tie for a rail joint, but this will just help keep everything in alignment across this. And of course, like I said, there are little pegs on this thing that will help the rails stay where they're supposed to, but this way I don't have to worry about cutting into the homosome. The actual tie height is the same height as the platform. So that was my concern, because if I didn't cut the ties out, then this thing, I'd have a ramp, and that's not the place. It's so tight over here, and kind of go with, like I said, I marked this out once before, but right here is where I was originally thinking that this was going to go. So it's tight over here. You know, you've got the possibility of having a roundhouse sitting over this section. You've got 2 other tracks sitting over here, which this is another thing I'm going to work on, is this freaking roundhouse. That's the next thing that's going to come out of here, so I can get that working right. That's the reason why I'm over here. I figured this is going to be a good thing. I'll go ahead and get all this straightened out, then I can worry about getting the main lines taken care of again. Because the main lines run. We all know that. We've seen the trains run. So, you know, they're not 100%, but they'll run. You know, I've got the 2 power packs sitting over on the other end, and I can run trains. No big deal. So, the other thing I came across was, originally, I had, I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on here, but anyway, over here, I had put in, I hadn't done it yet, thankfully, but I had put in a jumper, was going to put a jumper here and a jumper here for dead track, for the yard switcher. Well, the other day when I was playing around with the yard, I found out that that's not going to work. The yard switcher is going to have to get dead tracked up here in this section. Now, why wouldn't you want to do it over here on this corner, which you can't see? Why wouldn't you want to do it here? Well, this track I'm trying to keep for maintenance of way. This track's short enough for this guy to be able to sit here and not cause a problem. So I'm going to instead dead track this piece. And then one of the other things that's going to be somewhat unique over here is I want to dead track here, here, and on top of the platform, or the fueling facility. Obviously, you're going to be refueling locomotives there. You don't want trains just running through it. So I'm going to make them to where they're going to stop. Now, one of the other things I was looking at is I might use this track here. I'm going to go ahead and bring this back up a bit. There we go. I'm going to use this track here for the inbound and use this track here for the outbound. And what I originally had sitting over here a few minutes ago was a locomotive sitting in that direction, one sitting in this direction. I'm going to move that out of the way for the moment. One there, and another one there. Now, why are they sitting opposite directions? That's a really good question, and I've got a really good answer. That is because when this thing goes ahead and comes out, and actually goes to pick up his train and get out onto the main line, he is going to be headed southbound. This one will be headed north. The next one will be headed south. The next one will be headed north. So that's the way it's going to be. And the other neat thing of it is the cabooses that are sitting over here are set up in that same thing. So the next locomotive out is a chassis system. Well, gee, the next locomotive out is a chassis system. And yes, I'm going to be using cabooses. I'm not going to be using Freds or flashing rear end devices or whatever you want to call them. I'm not a fan of flashing red lights. Sorry. I'm an old school guy. This layout's supposed to be set between 1950 and 1970. There you go. So some of this stuff that's on here was on its way out, and some of it was just starting. But that's the other neat thing with a freelanced railroad. Hey, this railroad was picking up stuff that everybody else was getting rid of. Basically, if you want to look at it that way. Which is the reason why across the back, or over here, we've got a line of refrigerator cars and box cars. And that's because eventually, once the town of Boeville gets built, this is going to be a warehouse. Now, if anybody has been in downtown Baltimore and been to Camden Yards, they know that Camden Yards was a yard, and they had that huge warehouse on the one side, which is now the right field side of the baseball stadium. Not that I'm a fan, I'm just telling you, being from Baltimore, I know what's down there. So that's what my idea is that will be a warehouse over there. So, and that gives me a place to run box cars and refrigerator cars to and from. That's the whole point. So anyway, I'm going to get to messing around with this track arrangement over here, and once I'm done, we'll be back. Stop! Alright, so it didn't come out 100% the way I expected. Of course it never does. But that's the joys of doing this. You have an idea in your head, you put it into practice, and if it comes out the way you wanted it, it's like, wow! That never happens to me. Everything's trial and error, and more or less error than trial. Anyway, so I've got the dead tracks in now. So I've got him going out. These two will be going out, and he just can't. I'm pretending that he just got in. So they're doing some work on that one. Theoretically, once I get which is something else I want to bring up here real quick before I go too far. From this point this way, everything is tacked down. From the concrete under the diesel facility to the roundhouse or the turntable is not. So that way I can take and scoot this whole thing out of here and go over and work on it, because obviously stuff needs to be built and so on and so forth. But I needed to have it over here to see how things were going to play out. And when I first put this down, when I first put the tracks over here, of course I didn't have them tacked down either. And what I originally thought where this thing was going to sit isn't where it's sitting. It's actually sitting a little bit closer this way. Not a big deal, that's fine. Actually, what I could have done is I could have parked him there. See, he's not actually in, he's waiting to go in to get service. Or whatever. You know, I could set this thing up in a couple different ways, I guess. I haven't really gotten to that point yet. But you kind of get the gist. And I got this dead tracked in now. So now he's got some place to stop when I'm messing around with moving other things. Or moving bringing the freight trains in or out. I have some place to park the switcher engine now. That's out of the way. Originally was thinking over here, not gonna happen, not gonna work. That's the reason why we're still in that test phase. And who knows, I could be in this test phase for another couple of months. But we'll see. I mean, it could get to the point where I'm happy with everything and I'm able to actually start doing other stuff with it, but we'll see. Of course, with everything that's going on, I'm not going to have bowling on Friday night for a while. So there's another night that I'm going to be able to get stuff done. You know, it's just one of those things, and of course it stinks too, because there's parts that I need. I still need parts. And I'd rather go in and see them than order them online. One of the things that I'm looking for is I need a bunch of different sections of 15-inch radius, and I know that sounds goofier than heck. Who the heck runs 15-inch radius? there's a point to this. When I originally thought about Boeville, I was originally thinking I was going to do 18-inch radius up there. Well, 18-inch radius is a 36-inch diameter curve. That means that's 3 feet. This section over here is 5.5 feet, which means that you'd be taking up quite a bit of it, and that's just the radius. That doesn't include having a little bit of extra, so that way the thing isn't right on the edge. So I'm like, well, 18 inches is out the door. There's no way I can do 18-inch radius for the trolley line that will circle the city. That's not going to happen. So I'm back to doing 15-inch radius going around the city. Now, the thing is I haven't even built the city yet, and there's a reason for that, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm hoping that that'll get cleared up here fairly shortly, and I'll actually be able to go through and do some of the other things that need to get done per getting Boeville taken care of. One other thing that happened the other night was, we all know that I've been planning for this backdrop. Well, you see that board over there in the corner? That was an oops. Another one. I think that makes Ray's Law 2,000 or 250,623 or something like that. Anyway, that doesn't belong over there. It don't belong over there. No, that should have been where the city is going to get divided, because when you're standing where I am here at the yard, you're going to see up to here. So in other words, you'll see from here to the edge of the layout. And then you'll have to go around the corner here to be able to see the rest of it, which means the backdrop goes down the center here, basically. So that board doesn't need to be back there. That should have been somewhere over here on the outside. And it may not be that board. I may go ahead, I've got more of these angles that I picked up. I've got more of this upstairs, and of course I can't cut it yet, but again, as soon as things get straightened out, I'll be able to work on that. I may end up using those instead of the 2x4s for the city, because they're a lot thinner. You know, that's 2 inches by 4 inches. Well, all right, 1 3/4 by 3 3/4 inches. Either way you put it, you can't have that sitting this way on the outside of the layout. It won't work. It has to sit this way, and that's not going to work either. So, like I said, I think I may go ahead and put up another one of those, and I may end up dropping them down the middle of this thing too. Again, I'm not there yet. Speaking of the backdrop, I think I mentioned it already, but I do appreciate everybody going ahead and putting stuff together, and I obviously didn't look hard enough, I guess, or I just didn't look at the right time. So I've got that. Now the thing is it really still didn't help me with how to attach to the back, to the wood that I've got, the uprights that I've got sitting here. So I've come up with a plan for that. That'll come in the future. We'll talk about that some other time. I'm going to go ahead and continue to do some things here. I did go ahead and have to mess around with the passenger tracks underneath of Boeville again. I found another issue. I had to get that straightened out. I actually went through last night and put in all of the switch machines. I told you that I'm going to be putting probably, I called it Katie, either Caboose or somebody. I'm going to be using their switch stands, with the exception of obviously the mainline tracks will all have switch machines, including the 4 curved turnouts underneath the Boeville. Those I'm going to have to probably look into doing something that I haven't done before, and something I'm probably not looking forward to because of the expense. But c'est la vie. I'm probably going to end up getting tortoises or something of that nature to put underneath of here. because the obviously normal Atlas switch machines aren't going to work. They're obviously, it's because it's a curved turnout there. They don't have enough swing. So, at any rate, I'm going to stop here for a bit. We'll be back later. Alright, back again. I'd like to show you what I've been doing underneath the layout, but it's kind of hard because it's a little dark underneath of there. So I'm not going to be able to, I think, really show that. So I'm going to do something else, and then I'm going to take a look and see how it looks. And if it looks okay in the viewfinder, then I'll go ahead and I'll do a real quick show and tell. But I've got a bit of a mail call. As you all know, Anthony from the Georgia Sunbelt, and why is this thing so out of there it goes. Anthony from the Georgia Sunbelt had some stuff from Woodland Scenics, I think it was, that he didn't use and wasn't going to use. And I had made mention in an earlier vlog this year that of what I was planning on using for a sub-road bed. Or I'm sorry, not sub-road bed, but road bed. So he had actually emailed me the other day saying, hey, by the way, I sent that stuff up to you, and let me know what you think, and we'll work something out. I'm like, all right. So I'm opening up the box from Mr. Tony, and nice. Now I just did this. This is a wonderful start right here. This will work. Thank you, Tony. I will be sending you something in the mail here shortly. It'll probably be within the next day or two. You'll hopefully get it by next week. All things considered, the way things are right now, who knows, but we'll see. So I do appreciate you sending that stuff up to me, sir. Greatly appreciate it. Like I said, there'll be something in the mail for you here, like I said, in the next couple of days or so. So I'm going to stop here for a minute. I'm going to go take a look and see if I can get a somewhat decent shot of what I was doing underneath the layout. And if I can, fine. If not, then I'll just go ahead and explain it after I take a look. So we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so it's not going to be as bad as I thought. I'm hoping that I can do this. But here's the terminal strip. This happens to be up underneath the 15-inch section. And it's a black, a red, a blue, and a yellow. The black and the blue will be the outside rails for the north and the southbound. And then obviously the red and the yellow are the inner rails. And the reason why this is an eight position terminal strip is eventually the south or the outer ring, the portion that you see, I'll have wires run for that as well. That's the reason why those other four terminals are open at the moment. So, and the reason why I can't run one set of lines down this is because the front side is where that block is for passing. So I had figured it out that I was going to have to run two sets of wires. So let me go ahead and get back on camera. So what I was saying is in fact, you know what, let's just swing around here a minute and see how close we can get without jolting things too bad here. I'm using the tripod. Okay. This is a prime example of what I was talking about. On the back side of the hill here, and let's get this out of the way for the moment. So the lines right now that are underneath the layout are for the tracks back here. So they'll be black, red, blue, yellow. When I get around to the front, it'll be the same thing. It'll be black, red, blue, yellow. The issue here is once I get on the other side of the three-way switch over here, if I can see my hand, there we go. Over here, this is the end of the block. So from here over to the crossing switches over by Wykert Hill, or the Wykert Industrial Railroad, and from this switch over that way, that's a block. So this has to be isolated this set of tracks cannot be on the same run as this set of tracks, because this, like I said, this is a block. So these had to be separated. So therefore I have to run 8 wires underneath of here to be able to do what I want to do. So from here and here, all the way back around on this set of track, all the way into the yards and all the way down to the folding section, ends up being a block. So that is all common back there. This whole piece, all the way down to the on the viewable side of the drop down, that's a block all the way to this point down here. Here and here. So that's one block. So from here over to that crossing switch, or the crossing switches, which are over here, over to here. So this is block 2. Then from here over to the next cross is block 3. Actually, it'll be 3 and 6. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna reverse that a second. Block 1 and 2 go from the folding section all the way back around to where Boeville yard is, and then 3 and 4 will be up to here, and then 5 and 6 will be that last section. And I'll have to figure out which block is going to be which. You know, is it going to be 5 on the inside, you know, 6, whatever. Odd on the inside, even on the inside, odd on the out, you know, who knows. I have to figure that out yet. I haven't gotten there. So, again, I think it's going to be best if I go ahead and I sit down here one evening and actually pull up my original diagram and kind of show how the blocking system is going to work. Because I can't really show you, it's tough to show you on here how it's going to play out. But it gives you an idea. So there's going to be 6 blocks on here. Ultimately, at the end of the day, there's 6 blocks. Which in reality is not that bad. What is bad is the fact that I still have to get a hold of some DPDT switches to be able to do that. I've only got 3. I think I figured it out. I need a total of 12. Well, you've only got 6 blocks. Why do you need 12? Because if I put this thing in the continuous run mode, it'll be powered by a power pack that'll be over at the dispatcher's area. So to be able to utilize that power pack, I have to be able to send power from that power pack out here. And then of course I'm going to have the other power pack, or the walk-arounds, that'll actually plug into the front, and the switches will be there for telling it which power pack you're on. So to be able to do the walk-around, that's 6. And then I need 6 more to be able to put the other power pack in place. So there's probably easier ways of doing it, and I may end up finding them when I get to that point. But right now, that's where I'm at. I know at least to be able to do the walk around, I need to get into the point where I have to have at least 3 more DPDTs. If I need to get 6 more beyond that, I'll do that. But so that's where we're at. So we'll be back. I'm thinking by now that this is going to be one long vlog, but that's okay, because there's been quite a bit, and I'm sorry if I'm shaking this thing. I'm trying to move it because I've got something that I definitely want to show tonight, because I finally got all of the main line 16 gauge wire run. That's all done. It's all underneath, it's all set up. The only thing I have to do now is go ahead and actually start dropping, or actually in this case, feeding wires up, because that's how I want to do it. I've got this, let me see if I can bring a piece of it over. A few years back I commandeered, because we were tearing stuff apart, this wonderful wire it's actually 5 5 conductor. Obviously, only need 4. It's black, red, green, and white. This is, I think, 18 wire gauge, somewhere in that area, which is perfect for doing what I want to do, and that's going from that 16 gauge wire up to the tracks, because this stuff is thin enough that once it's connected, you will never see it. Now, it is stranded wire, which makes it a little bit tedious, and I know a lot of people would rather use solid wire for this, but like I said, it's what I've got, and I've got scroodles. I've got boxes of this. So that's what I'm going to use. Now, one of the things I happen to think about, actually a couple of things that came up, but one of the things I happen to think about is there's going to be an awful lot of wire that's going to have to go back to that 16 gauge that I just got finished running. Well, that's true. And what I've decided on is I may go ahead and actually start soldering some of these sections together. In other words, I may make a section that may be 2 or 3, maybe 4 pieces of track long, except for obviously where the flex track is. That's not you drop 2 feeders down from that. That's no big deal. I'm not even going to bother soldering that together. I want this thing to, because it's in the basement, it's going to have to move a little bit. And considering the fact that I've had everything pretty much track nailed into this wonderful foam, things haven't moved a whole lot. I've noticed a few little places where it's open, but it's manageable. It's negligible. And that's what I want. I want it to be able to breathe a little. And it has, but not to the point where I end up with these huge gaps or I end up with teepees all over the place. So that's a good thing. We'll see how things go once I really start nailing this thing down. I actually looked at what Mr. Anthony had sent me, because one of the things I was wondering is, how the heck do you curve that? Then I realized when I looked online, oh, you cut it in half, you curve it, and then you put it just like cork. Okay, got it. All right, we're good to go. And of course, then I started laying it out and realized, hey, yeah, this is a great start, but it ain't nearly enough. I think I figured it out. I needed another 35 or 36 pieces, to which I've already gone ahead and ordered, because I like this stuff so far. I haven't actually put any of it down yet, but that doesn't matter, because I'm not there yet. But I've got it sitting over here. I was playing around with 2 pieces of it, or a piece of it last night, that I went ahead and ripped apart so I could go ahead and actually see it curve. So anyway, and all that's getting done with that is the main lines. The hidden yards, we've got this. In fact, that's 1 roll. I've got 2. Now, obviously, Boeville, that doesn't get touched. That's on Homosoap. That won't get touched at all. So, anyway, what I wanted to get to, because of what I was thinking about with the track and all, we had this one spot over here that I had not been happy with ever since I was looking at where the switchback is, or the Weikert Industrial Railroad, where the cement plant and the log loader and the gravel dealer is going to be. There's this crossover over here that takes you, if there's a train sitting northbound in that crossover in Weikert Hill, or Weikert Hill. I keep wanting to call it Weikert Hill. It's not Weikert Hill anymore. It's Weikert Industrial. The Weikert Industrial area, if there is a train working here and it's stopped back here, then a northbound passenger train has to be able to get past it. And we've talked about this before. So you've got the crossover way back here. So he'll come in, and now all of a sudden he's on the southbound route. He's going to be able to get back to the northbound route to be able to get into Harrisburg. The more I was sitting down here, I was playing with a piece of flex track. I had all sorts of goofy things going on. One of the issues was actually right here. I don't know if it's showing up on camera, and there we go. Because I need to move the viewfinder so I can, there we go. Right here, this was an issue. If you notice, here is the split between the main layout and the drop-down section. So I wanted to keep these re-railers here because of the fact that it's going to be going across the split. If you remember, at one point in time, I had a switch sitting there. That was not a good place for a switch. I was sitting there last night drawing all sorts of goofy stuff here, trying to figure out, okay, can I get this to lift out? No. What I ended up doing was moving the switches and putting in, these are actually number 4s. So now I've got a number 4 coming off the southbound side and a number 4 on the northbound side. Now, one of the things that was driving me nuts is I gotta leave room for a train. No, the train's back there. The train is way, whoops, sorry. The train is stopped and only has to be, the caboose could be here. You know, so this whole run here can be the train. The locomotive doesn't have to be all the way up here. The locomotive can be anywhere on that group, so I don't need that. I didn't need to have this too far shifted. And that was the problem. I had it way far shifted. So basically what it's going to happen is if there is a northbound passenger train going past while the northbound freight train is sitting here trying to do its work at Weichert Industrial, I did it again, sorry. While the train is doing its work at Weichert Industrial, he just has to make sure that he doesn't come too far out, that's all. And if he has to take a couple of cars at a time and move it, that just adds to the fact that, okay, I don't have a lot of room, I'm restricted here, it'll just make it take a little longer. Okay, c'est la vie. So that's the updates for right now. I'm actually going to go ahead and put this video together. I'm probably going to go ahead and maybe try and get it out tonight. It happens to be Thursday the 19th. Yeah, it is Thursday the 19th. I would have been bowling tomorrow night, but I'm not bowling tomorrow night, so obviously they've shut everything down. I'm just waiting for the Gestapo. Oh, did I say that? So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. You all know the deal. Wait for the high ball. Green tracks ahead. Be safe. God bless. We'll catch you next time. See ya.